50-mile-per-hour winds made a surprise visit to the Twin Cities last night, sending tree limbs flying and window panes shattering all over the place.
WCCO Television presents Don Shelby, Pat Miles, and Bud Crayley. This is the 5 p.m. report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Thankfully, last night's storm was quick, but its effects linger on in parts of the Twin Cities today.
Those high winds knocked out power to about 7,000 NSP customers. NSP is still working on the last few hundred outages and hopes to have everything back to normal by tonight. As Dave Nimmer reports, the winds toppled trees and branches as well, and St. Paul seems to have been hit the hardest.
City crews in St. Paul spent the day today cleaning up the debris from a storm that generated more than 150 calls about downed trees and branches blocking streets and alleys. At the same time, NSP repairmen worked quickly to restore power to about 7,000 customers scattered throughout the area. At times, the high winds reached up to 50 miles an hour, creating such a roar that some people feared a hurricane had somehow crept in through the night.
I was scared, I'm not going to even lie, but I heard the real loud noises in the back and real windy outside.
I thought, well, it's too late in the year for a tornado, really. But I said, well, a friendly neighborhood thunderstorm must have did something, you know.
The winds also blew out a portion of the front window at this University Avenue car dealership, but by noon, a new pane of glass was in its place. Across the river in Minneapolis, a big branch damaged Ada Conti's car for the second time in 2 months.
I'm upset. The park board was out here and chainsawed it off my car, and 2 months later it has crashed on my car again.
Minneapolis Park Board officials report a few other cars were also struck by branches, but that most of the 50 or so calls they received did not involve property damage. Dave Nimmer, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
And thankfully, there were no reports of injuries from last night's storm.
This afternoon, several truckloads of supplies are on their way to hurricane-ravaged Mexico. One truck loaded this morning in Golden Valley with 40,000 pounds of clothing and medical supplies. The goods were collected by the Mexican Hurricane Relief Fund. And another group, the Minnesota-Mexico Support Project, loaded 2 trucks today at Hopkins. The trucks are bound for northeastern Mexico, carrying food, clothes, medical supplies, and hospital beds. And another shipment of hospital beds is also on its way to northeastern Mexico. 100 beds from local hospitals, which have closed, were gathered by the Sister Hospital Project and then loaded in St. Paul.
WCCO Television and the American Red Cross are continuing their efforts to aid people in Jamaica, where about 80% of the homes were damaged by the September 4th hurricane. If you would like to contribute, contact the Red Cross office in Minneapolis at 871-7676 or in St. Paul at 291-6789. That money donated will be used for food, medicine, and other supplies to help Jamaica rebuild. And we will be talking more about this drive a bit later with a Red Cross official. A shooting at a school in Greenwood, South Carolina this morning has left 1 child dead, 10 other people wounded. The victim, an 8-year-old third grader at Oakland Elementary. The gunman, described only as a 19-year-old male, walked into the school and went on a shooting spree in a classroom, a hallway, and a cafeteria. It lasted about 15 minutes. Police arrested the man, and he does remain in jail tonight. Among those wounded, a teacher who tried to stop the gunman. Police have no motive yet for the shootings. 27-year-old David Anthony Thomas pleaded guilty to killing Mary Foley in a Minneapolis parking ramp last June. Thomas spoke softly and calmly in a Hennepin County District courtroom this afternoon, and he described strangling Foley during a sexual assault. He also pleaded guilty to 7 rapes in May and in June in the Twin Cities. Thomas will serve at least 30 years in prison for the crimes, possibly more. The family of Mary Foley issued a statement asking that Thomas never be released from prison.
The man who negotiated this plea arrangement was Hennepin County Attorney Tom Johnson. He joins us this afternoon to explain it. First off, Tom, oftentimes prosecuting attorneys are criticized for plea bargaining and plea arrangements, but certainly not in this case. You covered a lot of ground. You put to rest a lot of cases.
We were surprised, shocked that the plea went in. It was the best possible outcome that we could hope for. David Thomas has pled guilty to first-degree murder and to 7 rapes, 2 in Ramsey County, 2 here. Those rape cases are going to be he will be sentenced consecutively to the life imprisonment sentence.
But he knew that going in, didn't he? That you said, we're only going to agree if you agree to confess to all of these and then take consecutive as opposed to concurrent sentences?
Our position right from the outset was you have to plead guilty to every crime that you're charged with, and have each of those crimes sentenced consecutively, so that there'd be punishment, separate punishment for each of those crimes. And we said we're also going to seek to commit you as a psychopathic personality, so that there will be an indefinite hold on you in civil court, as well as your indefinite imprisonment.
What prompted him to confess?
It's difficult to really figure that out. I think he just wanted it over with. I was surprised at how little remorse that he showed in the courtroom today, but everything was consistent with his just throwing in the towel. I want it over with.
But what does he get out of it? This is a plea bargain. The way you describe it doesn't sound like he got much in this bargain, but he did get something. Talk to us about that.
That's one of the things that we can't figure out. We stated our position, and it was a non-negotiable position, and he accepted it. So we're real pleased, obviously, with the outcome.
You saved the taxpayers a great deal of money in this process by especially this one, where it doesn't seem to have any drawbacks, where the public can't come back and say, well, he got off easy. He didn't get off easy, and you saved the taxpayers some money. About how much would you calculate?
Well, we estimated that if all the cases had gone to trial, it would have been a minimum of 3 months worth of trial, 8 different juries. It's certainly in the tens of thousands of dollars, perhaps as much as $100,000, but it wasn't the cost factor here. It was the certainty of getting a conviction, ending the drama for the Foley family, and sparing the rape victims the need to take the stand and to face David Thomas. And they were a number of them were very concerned about that. And so they were there today in the courtroom, but did not have to take the stand and to testify, and so we're very, very pleased with the outcome.
Very quickly, let's talk a little bit about the Attorney General's task force and what's going on there and as it relates to this.
Well, Attorney General Humphrey did appoint a task force, and I think, well, that's multifaceted in terms of we're looking at prevention, education, but one of the things is control of offenders. How do we better prevent this type of situation from arising before? David Thomas had been in prison for rape. He should not have been released. It's very clear, and it's real clear that he shouldn't be released ever again. How do we identify the David Thomases in the world and assure that we have a hold on him? I think there are some good ideas that have surfaced, and I think we're going to be looking to suggesting those within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, keep in touch with us about those. We'd like to know. I'm sure the public would like to know as well. Good, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being with us today. The city of Bloomington welcomed its new police chief to the job today. He is Bob Lutz, the former deputy police chief of Minneapolis. Lutz headed up that department's patrol division until he was named to the Bloomington Post last Monday. Today, by the way, was his first day on the job.
Finding the ideal pharmacy is easy. It's real close to your favorite place to save on things for your car. The pharmacy with low prices on name brands and even bigger savings on generic equivalents were allowed is right around the corner from your favorite photo store. In fact, the perfect pharmacy isn't just close to your favorite place to save on things for your home, your health, or yourself. It's right inside it. The pharmacy at Kmart, the saving place.
At Plowwood, Minnesota, we believe in decorum.
But during the grand opening of our newest store in Inver Grove Heights, we're party animals.
Celebrate our grand opening with super savings on carpet, like Uptown by World Carpets, made with Travere fiber, just $10.99.
Here's Prevail, Armstrong's No-X vinyl flooring on sale, just $9.97. Plowwood, Minnesota has wallpaper too, from $2 a roll. Celebrate our grand opening sale at all Plowwood, Minnesota locations.
Let's party!
They're taking off like a rocket. Chevy full-size truck sales and just blowing out Ford. The Heartland Chevy Truck Blowout Sale. It's going on strong with full-size factory savings up to $1,700. On Chevy S10 up to $2,100. Cash in now. You've got to hurry. Huge dealer discounts from Blazers to Suburbans because it's a fact. Chevy's just blowing out Ford. This week, see your local Heartland Chevy dealer and save.
Newhart. Well, you gotta be me. No wonder the Indians massacred these people.
Starts October 3rd on Channel 4.
The effects of cocaine on the immune system, a warning about low cholesterol food labels, and good news about a product known as Oat Bran. All are items in today's edition of Healthline.
And our health and science reporter, Tony Vigneri, has details.
Don and Pat, some new research on the drug cocaine has found it may weaken the immune system and encourage the growth of cancerous tumors. Now, a study on lab animals at the University of Illinois College of Medicine found that with cocaine in your system, it can lower the production of antibodies and reduce the number of cells in the spleen. Now, it appears cocaine's greatest effect on the immune system is within the first day after the drug has been taken. Doctors found that when cocaine is in the body, it suppresses the growth of large cells which consume bacteria and destroy tumor cells. Well, everyone is concerned today about cholesterol, and nutrition experts say be careful in the grocery store with labels that say no cholesterol on a particular food. The label may be misleading. Now, you've seen the labels on numerous food products, but the catch is that even though it says no cholesterol, it may be high in saturated fat, and that's not good for your heart. Some processed foods contain saturated fats such as coconut or palm oil. Now, there's not a hint of cholesterol in the food, but those saturated fats can raise the undesirable form of cholesterol in the blood. Now, labels that state the product has less than 5 grams of fat per serving are a good guideline for identifying low-fat foods. Well, by now you've heard how effective Oat Bran can be in helping to lower cholesterol in the body. Well, Oat Bran is found in numerous breakfast products out on the market, and now researchers say that Oat Bran may be cheaper than drugs for cutting cholesterol. Pennsylvania doctors found that a person who would consume 1.5 cups of Oat Bran a day would lower their cholesterol by 13% in 1 year. And the cost of the Oat Bran would only be $249. Now, a year's supply of cholesterol-lowering drugs, on the other hand, would cost about $1,000. I guess that's something we shouldn't pass on to the drug companies. They certainly wouldn't be happy with that.
No,
but the Oat Bran really is a good, effective way, and it's as simple as consuming it daily.
I presume with this news, then all of the cereal makers and breakfast cereal companies will be producing cholesterol-lowering breakfast cereals for us now.
I think if you will notice, there's really been a splurge of that in the last 6 months or so. As more and more of this news gets out, there's numerous products of breakfast cereals with Oat Bran, whereas a year ago you could hardly find anything.
Yep. All right, Tony. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. Japan's Emperor Hirohito remains hospitalized in stable condition this afternoon. New tests have found fresh traces of blood from the intestinal hemorrhage he suffered last week. He was admitted to the hospital after vomiting blood and has received several transfusions since then. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, residents felt the city shake for almost a minute today because of an earthquake that measured 5.9 on the Richter scale. There are no signs of any serious injury or damage, though. A few minutes ago, we told you about the joint hurricane relief effort that WCCO Television and the Twin Cities Red Cross are sponsoring. The official kickoff was today in a drive that hopes to reach its goal of $44,000 for victims in Jamaica.
Joining us this afternoon to talk more about it, Public Relations Director for the Twin Cities Red Cross, Dave Thurkelson. Thank you very much, Dave, for being with us. I guess the first thing we should tell folks is we don't have a figure yet, because the cards and letters and the checks are still coming in. You haven't opened all of the letters yet.
That's a problem, but it's the kind of problem you like to have, that the response to the fact that a lot of people around the world, in Jamaica, but in Mexico City and Bangladesh, are suffering right now.
Yes.
And one of the gratifying aspects of being part of the Red Cross is you realize how willing people are willing to help other people who are in need. So yes, we haven't gotten through all the envelopes yet, but they're coming in very fast.
It seems to me that Minnesota is especially in that category of wanting to help people too. They've always responded so well to a crisis, and certainly there is one in Jamaica right now.
Well, there does seem to be that impulse locally, and we were discussing earlier, we can try to imagine what the consequences of a disaster would be like here in this community. You know,
because we're not very much smaller, the Twin Cities metropolitan area, not very much smaller than Jamaica.
Just about the same population, a little bit less. So just imagine if in our community 80% of the households had been damaged. 500,000 people in our community were affected by a storm of this magnitude. We'd like to think that the world community would come to our assistance, and I think the experience here suggests that that would probably be true.
Do you have an update on what the situation is in Jamaica currently? One of the things that we were concerned about is that their food supply is going to run out because so much of their agriculture was wiped out. Have you heard recently what's going on?
The most recent information I have is through our national organization from just before the weekend, but there remains about 500,000 people affected. Food is indeed in short supply. In addition, there's a lot of need for bedding, blankets, even storm lamps, because there are a lot of places that don't have electricity, and then building materials as people get on with the job of rebuilding.
But that's your job. That's the job of the Red Cross, to go purchase those supplies. Our job as people who donate is to send money or checks to the Red Cross.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you very much.
Right,
Keep up the good work. Keep us posted on how we're doing on our goal of 44,000.
Every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, if you would like to contribute, you can contact the Red Cross office in Minneapolis at 871-7676, or in St. Paul, you may call 291-6789. That money will be used for food, medicine, and other supplies Jamaica needs to rebuild.
All right, now stay with us as this Monday 5 continues. Going to check the week's forecast. Bud Kralen's going to do that for us.
And we will also have a sneak preview of a new television series CBS is hoping will do the trick for the network this season. We'll have the story coming up.
At Paul Williams Tire, it's the great rebate of '88. Get back up to $40 on a set of 4 select BF Goodrich TA radials for your car or truck. Now's the time to cash in on great performing BF Goodrich TAs, because at Paul Williams Tire you can save up to $40 during the great rebate of '88. BF Goodrich TA radials, built to make your car or truck perform. So hurry into Paul Williams Tire. Rebate ends October 15th.
Dave Lennox. Since 1895, new ideas in heating and cooling. Get up to a $400 rebate on the Lennox Pulse furnace when purchased with a 14 Series heat pump or air conditioner. Call your independent Lennox dealer.
Since 1923, Twin City Furnace has been St. Paul's Lennox dealer. Let Twin City Furnace cut your heating and cooling costs. For reliable Lennox heating and air conditioning products and top quality installation, call my friends at Suburban Air Conditioning today.
Attaboy, Dave.
What's for breakfast, my pet?
Nothing, honey.
Hey, that's not nothing, honey. Those are biscuits.
Right, nothing, honey, biscuits.
You mean there's nothing in those biscuits, honey?
No, honey, I mean there's nothing, honey, in the biscuits, honey.
So where's the nothing, honey?
In the biscuit.
In the biscuit?
Introducing new Nut and Honey Crunch Biscuits. Wholesome shredded wheat with that special nut and honey taste inside.
Hey, Wanda, there is something in this biscuit.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey.
Now in flakes or biscuits.
Crunch.
Spooner Wiggins, godfather of the airwaves, here. Ooh, what's your problem?
My husband has been going out every night.
Another woman, huh?
No, Spooner, he's been going down to Godfather's Pizza.
Babe, you can either blow out of there and take him for everything he's got, or call this number!
Was that like a shrink?
A shrink? Oh, no, babe. Godfather's Pizza Delivery.
Check your yellow pages for fresh, hot Godfather's Pizza in minutes.
He sounds like an insensitive beast.
One of the better autumn days we've had.
Yes, after the wind subsided in the early morning
That
hours.
was like the hurricane last night.
We had our window open just a little bit, and I really, in a half asleep, I thought, oh, this is the Hurricane Morpheus or something.
Did it wake
like
you
that.
up? Woke me up in the middle of the night.
Oh, yes. Well, the winds dropped down, and temperatures took quite a flip-flop. It was 57 after midnight and up to 77, back down to the 60s. Our weather location, the very beautiful area, the Earl Brown Farm area, while we talk a little bit more about the day, September 26th. The coolest 27 on this day, 1965, and a nice warm afternoon of 87 in 1923. And the most 24-hour snowfall in September was on this day, 1.7 inches in 1945. What need more be said about the day? That's probably, well, I could tell you it's sunny and 78 degrees, humidity 56%, winds from the southwest at 10, and pressure falling from 29.89. It's sunny, temperature at 78 degrees. In the upper lakes today, temperatures never really recovered much out of the mid-30s. It was 36 this morning at Marquette. Well, they did get up to 48 degrees. Forecasters at Denver were talking today to the folks there about the heavy snow that fell on this day in 1936 in Denver, but it was sunny 82 this afternoon, 83 at St. Louis, and in the 90s from Palm Springs, California, Midland, Texas to Tampa, Florida. And in the next 24 hours, our rainfall expected to be along the mid-coastal area, southern Alabama to parts of Florida, and out to the west of us, Idaho, western Montana, and then moving into the central and eastern Dakotas, parts of Nebraska and western Iowa tomorrow, and we have a forecast of possible showers by Wednesday afternoon in our metro area. But first tonight, mostly clear. Moonrise at 7:17. It's the full harvest moon. 50 overnight with northwest winds at 5 to 10. Our Tuesday forecast of sunny to partly sunny with the afternoon temperature Tuesday of 70 degrees, northwest winds, and Wednesday increasing cloudiness, chance of afternoon showers with the Wednesday temperature at 65 degrees. The pollen count today, incidentally, was average at 12 grains per cubic meter of air, 59% ragweed.
Uh-oh, that's the kind that makes you sniffle. Thanks, Bud.
Thanks, Bud. New fall television series beginning a little late this year, the result of that extended writer's strike. And entertainment reporter Bill Carlson will be giving us a bit of background on several of the shows for the next couple of weeks. Today, he introduces us to two of the cast members from a show with an interesting past history, Dirty Dancing.
First, it was a dark horse movie that gave a great boost to the careers of Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. This past summer, Dirty Dancing became a traveling stage show playing to massive crowds across the country, including our own state fair. Now it comes to television on CBS as a weekly series to begin later this fall. I talked to a couple of the exhausted young stars early in the taping schedule about their association with a show that makes use of all sorts of performing talent.
You could almost do anything in the show. I mean, we could
we could even sing if we wanted to later.
Because
we both sing.
It bridges so many gaps. I mean, it's music, it's drama, it's comedy. It has a lot of different aspects, so you're able to basically show any kind of talent.
Yeah, it's really wonderful for
I don't know
that.
if I'll be able to play basketball.
Putting a physically very demanding TV show together on a short schedule has called on all of the professionalism these two young performers gathered from their showbiz families.
It gives you a sense of reality.
Oh yeah,
you know,
completely.
Show business is so fantasy-oriented.
It's not a dream.
And you really know that it's just a job like anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just take it seriously and you work hard at it, and it's not something to just goof around with, you know. I mean, it's not just here and gone. It's not.
I always felt much more fortunate than any of my friends because I knew at the age of 15 what I wanted to do. And so many kids, even now at my age, at 26, so many of my friends are still, you know, they've been through college and they still don't know what they want to do. You know, and I think 80% of the battle is really knowing what you want to do and committing to it.
In Hollywood with two of the cast members of the new TV show Dirty Dancing, Bill Carlson, WCCO Television News with an entertainment update.
Dirty Dancing, the TV show, will premiere on CBS in late October.
And the Monday Five will continue in just a moment, but first we want to check the time for you. It is 22 minutes after the hour.
They're testing a pretty hot piece of equipment here, Bryant's new thinking gas furnace. It's got an electronic brain that constantly adjusts its own performance, making it the quietest, most efficient Bryant ever. And after all these tests, you can be sure it'll keep your home comfortable for a long, long time, because Bryant's got the right stuff to last.
In the Twin Cities and suburbs, contact Sedgwick Heating and Air Conditioning or call The Connection.
I kept getting these headaches. Then my assistant said, "Why are you squinting so much at those printouts?" I didn't mess around. Went straight to Lens Crafters.
Lens Crafters crafts your quality glasses in about an hour by putting the whole lab right in the store. So you can see better and feel better in about an hour.
No more headaches, great looking top quality glasses, and all it took was 1 hour.
Lens Crafters, custom crafted eyeglasses in about an hour. Burnsville Center, Southdale Center, Lomans Plaza, Crystal Shopping Center, and now in East St. Paul.
Spoonie Wiggins, godfather of the airwaves, here. Ooh. What's your problem?
My husband has been going out every night.
Another woman, huh?
No, Spooner, he's been going down to Godfather's Pizza.
Babe, you can either blow out of there and take him for everything he's got, or call this number!
Was that like a shrink?
A shrink? Oh, no, babe. Godfather's Pizza delivery.
Check your yellow pages for fresh, hot Godfather's Pizza in minutes.
He sounds like an insensitive beast.
They're taking off like a rocket. Chevy full-size truck sales and just blowing out Ford. The Heartland Chevy Truck Blowout Sale. It's going on strong with full-size factory savings up to $1,700. On Chevy S10 up to $2,100. Cash in now. You've got to hurry. Huge dealer discounts from Blazers to Suburbans because it's a fact. Chevy's just blowing out Ford. This week, see your local Heartland Chevy dealer and save.
Today, President Reagan made his 7th and final appearance before the United Nations. Speaking to the opening of the General Assembly, Mr. Reagan said that the prospects for world peace had improved, and he said it's more than a possibility that a new treaty reducing intercontinental ballistic missiles can be signed with the Soviet Union within the next year. Meanwhile, the White House announced today that American warships will no longer escort U.S.-flagged tankers in the Persian Gulf. The administration says it remains committed to the freedom of navigation in the Gulf, however. Economists of 60 of this country's largest businesses are painting a bleak picture of the nation's economy for the next year.
In fact, they are predicting a downturn in 1989 with a full-scale recession possible in 1990. And their study, commissioned by the National Association of Business, goes on to say the economic trouble will come no matter who is elected president this fall. Add to that a report from the federal government released today which shows most states will have to borrow billions from Uncle Sam to pay unemployment benefits if there is another recession. As Skip Loescher explains from Washington, Minnesota is one of those states.
Borrowed more than $1 billion from the federal government between 1972 and 1976 to pay for unemployment benefits. Only 5 other states borrowed more. That money's been repaid now, and the state has a $155 million reserve in its unemployment insurance trust fund. But that's still well below the national average. And GAO warns it is woefully inadequate if the economy plunges into another major recession.
Minnesota, given a serious recession, would have reserves on hand equivalent for only about 3 months of payments.
That means the state would again have to borrow money from Uncle Sam and pay up to 10% interest on it.
In other words, they'd be insolvent again. Yes, there's a very good chance that could occur.
Many states, like Minnesota, have tightened eligibility requirements to help balance their books. But that has meant less of a financial cushion for workers who lose their jobs, as hundreds did when Amhoist shut down much of its St. Paul operation. The GAO says states like Minnesota have to move more decisively to build up reserves in their unemployment insurance trust funds. And right now, there are only 2 ways to do that: create a lot of new jobs or raise taxes on employers. Skip Loescher, CCO News, Washington.
And if states such as Minnesota don't act quickly enough, the General Accounting Office suggests Congress should step in and impose a solution.
Prestige Lincoln Mercury announces our 1988 inventory closeout sale. We're discounting our entire line of 88 Cougars, Sables, and Topazes to their lowest price point of the year. While they last, save up to $4,036 on brand new 88 Cougars, 75 to choose from. 88 Sables, America's #1 family sedan, can be yours at savings up to $34.70, over 60 available. And Topaz, Mercury's economy leader, can be driven away at savings up to $2,086, 40 available. Don't delay. Hurry to Prestige Lincoln Mercury, a Metcor Plain Talk dealer.
Arby's introduces Chicken Cordon Bleu. Arby's new Chicken Cordon Bleu, a masterpiece, a triumph, a great sandwich. Arby's tender breast of chicken filet, topped with savory ham and melted Swiss cheese, all on a fresh poppy seed roll. Arby's new Chicken Cordon Bleu sandwich, a performance for the taste buds, appearing only at Arby's.
It takes more than my face to get their attention. It's gotta be my hair.
Come to Nordic Oaks and browse through beautiful European-styled solid oak furniture handcrafted locally. Perfection has never been closer than Nordic Oaks.
They're taking off like a rocket. Chevy full-size truck sales and just blowing out Ford. The Heartland Chevy Truck Blowout Sale. It's going on strong with full-size factory savings up to $1,700. On Chevy S10 up to $2,100. Cash in now. You've got to hurry. Huge dealer discounts from Blazers to Suburbans because it's a fact. Chevy's just blowing out Ford. This week, see your local Heartland Chevy dealer and save.
Shocking insight on the obsessive behavior of celebrity worship on the next Hour magazine.
Tuesday at 3 on Channel 4.
The Shuttle Discovery's countdown is now officially underway, running 8 hours behind schedule. NASA began the count this morning at 7 Twin Cities time. It was originally to have started just after midnight, but yesterday NASA decided to give engineers more time to close up the shuttle's engine compartment. The launch, however, is still scheduled for Thursday morning at 8:59 Twin Cities time. One of the crew members on board, of course, Minnesota's Pinky Nelson.
We're getting back into the excitement of space launches. That's been missing from the news for quite some time.
Well, at least in any positive sense, it certainly has.
Indeed. Among the items coming up a half hour from now on the 6 p.m. report is this.
The first face-to-face meeting of Skip Humphrey and Dave Durenberger. I'm Pat Kessler in Rochester. We'll have that story tonight at 6.
Also tonight at 6, Trish Van Pilsum will report on allegations that there may have been staff drug use in a Minneapolis group home. The Valor James home was closed Friday night. Today we learned that 2 staff members have been suspended. Trish will report in detail tonight at 6, immediately following the CBS Evening News.
At the Olympic Games tonight, potentially the biggest scandal ever, as record-setting sprinter Ben Johnson may be stripped of his gold medal, allegedly for cheating, drug use. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. The world's fastest human tonight is on the edge of disgrace. Ben Johnson, the Canadian sprinter who won a gold medal and set a world record in the 100-meter dash, flunked a drug test for steroids just after the race. Mark Phillips reports from Seoul.
If the race between Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis was the high point of these Olympics, the drug scandal that may well strip Johnson of his gold medal is the low. The first scent of scandal came from sources on the International Olympic Committee's Drug Testing Commission, which said that Johnson tested positive for a type of anabolic steroid. A Korean newspaper broke the story in the early hours of Tuesday morning in Seoul. IOC officials later confirmed that Johnson had tested positive and that a decision would be taken later today on whether to strip him of his medal. The IOC has little choice. Drugs, and particularly steroids, are an extremely sensitive issue at these games. Anyone who tests positive is sent home. That's already happened to 6 athletes here at the Olympics. No one is immune, not even the superstar of these Olympics, Ben Johnson. Johnson appeared to be in good shape when he arrived in Seoul, but he had been injured earlier in the season and returned to St. Kitts in the Caribbean for rest and relaxation. Canadian track officials say Johnson was not under their control at that time, and there were reports that he had fallen out with his coaches. There were also suspicions that